Hello my loves, welcome back. In today's tutorial we're making a wraparound dress. Now for the upper part, I'm going to take my fabric, get it on the fold, and I'm going to measure the length from my shoulder to my half length. For me it is 18 inches. I'm going to add half inch seam allowance to it. Okay, so now for the folding of the fabric, okay, I'm going to fold my fabric using the biggest circumference around the body, which for me at the upper part of my body is the bust. So I'm going to divide the bust measurement by 4 inches, then add 1.5 inches for my seam allowance. Okay, so whatever I get by dividing my bust by 4 plus 1.5 inches seam allowance, that is what I'm going to be using to fold my fabric. Right, so my bust is 44 divided by 4, it's 11 plus 1.5, that gives us around 12.5. So I'll be folding around 12.5. Now that I have done that, I need to cross-check to be sure that I have exactly my measurements correctly. So I'm going to make a mark at this lower point because I do not like the green line of my fabric showing. So from there, I'm going to mark 18.5, which is my half length plus half inch seam allowance. I'll make a mark at that point and connect it like so. The next I'm going to do is to get my chest line, which for me it is 9 inches. So I'll make a mark at 9 inches and connect it like so. So this here is the chest line, while this is the shoulder, and the lower one is the half length. So on the shoulder, I'm going to mark my shoulder measurement divided by 2, the same as that of the chest line. So on the chest line as well, I'll mark the shoulder divided by 2, connect that into a straight line. Okay, so my neck width is 3.5. This is the back pattern, and my neck depth is 1.5. So I'll connect like so. My shoulder slope is 1 inch. I'll slant it this way. Then on the chest line, I'm going to take my bust divided by 4 plus 1.5 inches seam allowance. Okay, on the waist, I'm going to divide my waist measurement by 4, get whatever value I get. I'll mark that on the half length plus my 1.5 inches seam allowance. So at this point, your darts are optional. If you want to fix a dart or use a dart, that's okay. I'm going to find the midpoint of my armhole and draft out my armhole. So this is just a basic bodice. I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. I had to do this for the beginners in me so that they don't, so that they follow up with what we're doing. Right, so I'm cutting out this right here, then through the shoulder slope and my neckline. Okay, now so I'm going to use this fabric, this particular back pattern, to cut out the front. Now for the front, I'm going to fold my fabric into 2. I need to have some width, okay, some allowances for the wraparound. Okay, it's a wraparound dress, so you need to have a lot of allowance in front so it can wrap around your body. Now what you're going to do is to divide your waist by 4. Whatever you get, you're going to place it before placing the back pattern on it. I don't know if you get, but I'm going to illustrate that for you to see what we're doing. So my waist measurement is 42 divided by 4, that gives me 10.25 or 10.5 rather. So I'm going to place my back pattern, then mark 10.25 afterwards, or you can mark 10.25 like I'm doing, then place your back pattern. Now because of the way the fabric is folded, it wouldn't be enough, and I just have 2.5 yards of fabric, so I'm trying to manage the fabric. So I'm just going to go ahead and rearrange the fabric. Okay, then I'm going to place the already cut out back. I'll place it already on the fabric like so. Towards this side, I have enough allowance, okay, but on the other side, I don't have enough allowance, and I'm trying to manage my fabric, so I'm just going to turn things around. The fabric does not have a definite pattern or shape, so I can turn it around the way I want. Now, after placing the front, so after placing the back rather, from the center back, I'm now going to mark whatever value I get by dividing my waist measurement by 4. And like I said, mine is 10.5, so I'm marking 10.5 from the center back towards the outer side, and this is for my front pattern. Now the reason is because it's a wraparound dress, so you want this to wrap around your front. Okay, it's going to wrap around your front. So what I'm going to do is to trace out the back pattern on the fabric now, okay, because this is now for the front. This is now the front pattern, so I'll just go ahead and trace out whatever and everything I have right here on the back. I'll trace it to the front, then I can now take away the back pattern and concentrate on the front. So now the next thing is to slant the neckline for the front. Now remember that I have indicated my neck width, so you can see the neck width. So from the neck width, I'm going to connect using my ruler straight. I'll just slant it down to the edge of the front pattern, just like this. Okay, so this is the neckline for the front because it's a wrap around or a wrap dress. So the neckline has to be slanted for the at the front so it can wrap around the body. And at this point, you're basically done with making this. So you can now go ahead and cut it out. For the neckline, just from your neck width, just slant it to the end of the fabric. That is all. So I'll go and cut all around it, cut the sides. Okay, so now when you're done cutting, you can go ahead and cut exactly the same thing you have on the fabric on your lining. Cut exactly the same thing, then use the lining to turn the fabric. Or okay, so use the lining to turn the slanted neckline for the front and the sides. Then for the back, you turn the neckline for the back and the sides as well. We are not turning the armhole and the half length area. Okay, so I'll just go and show you how I have done mine, but this is what it looks like. So you can see when you open it like this, it's going to overlap on each other like so. So that's why it's a wrap dress. Then this is the back. I can now get the back and place on the front. And at this point, the back is doing hide and seek with me. You can imagine. Pattern that I use my hand to cut is now dribbling me. Dribbling me. Look at me looking for it. Finally, I overcame with the blood of the lamb, by the blood of the lamb. So I'll just go and place it like this and join. So now this is what I have done. I've used my lining to turn out every part of it. Okay, for the front you can see, and the back as well. So you can see what it looks like. I've turned the neckline and the sides. You can see. Then I gave it a very good press. So everything is neat. The back as well. So I'll place it like so. Then get the back. You can see for the back, I also turned the neckline and the sides. So I'm going to place it right side facing right sides, match up the shoulder area and join the shoulder. Then also taking my body measurement. So I left 1.5 inches for seam allowance, but after turning the sides with lining, I'm left with 1 inch. So I'm going to couple the sides using 1 inch allowance. So from this side, I'm just going to mark 1 inch. Then from the half length, I'll step up by 1.5, then step up by 1.5 again. Now this is for my belt. Okay, this is the place my belt will pass through. So I'll just go and join from 1.5 to the other side. Okay, so this is how I'll show you how I will join it. Now I've joined. Give it a very good press. Now look, this is what I've done. For the other side, I made a straight stitch all through. Now for the side that I left the opening, so they're telling me to check if this one is canter. See me, what do I know? So what I've done here is that I have sewn from the armhole, okay, to that 1.5 gap that I left. Then I completed the sewing. So that 1.5 space is where my belt is going to pass through. Now what you can do at this point is just to stitch it down, but I like to use hemming gum to gum my seam allowance so it's not opening every time I want to wear the dress. So I'm taking out my hemming gum and placing it underneath the seam allowance so that I can give it a good press and it will lap. That way this is going to remain like this. You don't need to start sewing and your stitching will be showing outside of the dress. So guys, if you're watching till now and you love this tutorial, please, I beg you, like it, share it, and if you haven't subscribed, I'm begging you, please subscribe to this channel. Turn on your post notifications so the time I try and upload videos, you follow me and watch. You hear? So please, I'm begging you, subscribe. I'm begging you, subscribe. So give it a very good press. You can see so that it's going to lap. Now would I have that opening? So that's where my belt will pass through. So I'm trying to show you the opening. Okay. So now this is the shoulder area. I've joined the shoulder looking seamless. The sides, I've sewn one side all through. Then the other side, I sewed till that gap that I left. So what I'm going to do next is to measure around the half length, okay, or the waist. Measure around the half length all the way round. So whatever value you get, you're going to keep that in mind. So for me, I got around 62.5. So I got around 62.5. So I'll just note it down. Use my chalk to write it on my fabric. 62.5. So just keep that in mind. Now for the lower part, which is the skirt part, you can cut a half circle flare for this. You can cut a full flare. Okay, so if I want to cut a half circle, this is how I'll fold. But like I said, I don't have enough fabric. Okay, so I'm not doing a half circle flare, neither am I doing a full flare. So I'm just folding in form of a bias. Okay, bias fold, like folding in form of a triangle like this. You can see the way I'm folding, just so that I get a bit of flare, but it's not a full flare, it's not a half flare, it's just like a flare, just a normal flare. Okay, and it's not really a very full flare because I have limited fabric. It's not like enough. Okay, so but if you want to make yours, you can make yours a full flare, a half circle flare, or even if you're folding in form of a bias like this, you're folding with so much space or allowance so that it's going to flare out really well. So after folding this, I'm going to get back to what I got from my measurement, and I got 62.5. So I'll divide that by 4. Whatever value I get, that becomes the waist measurement for the skirt pattern. So I'm going to find the waist measurement. So when I divided by 4, I got around 15. So I folded this fabric like this. So I'm going to locate 15, okay, or quarter of that waist measurement on the fabric. So wherever I get 15, that is where I'm going to mark. Okay, so I'm still adjusting my fabric so that it's going to give me enough room to cut. Okay, like I said, I made this dress with just like a little above 2.5 or 2.5 yards of fabric. So I'm folding, I'm getting to where I have 15. So this is where I have up to 15. So I'll make it back at that point. Then from there, I'm going to measure the length I want for the skirt. Now the full length of this dress is 42. And my half length is 18, so I'll just take away 18 from 42. Okay, then add my 1 inch allowance to the hem. So that is what I'm doing. Mark the length you want for the skirt part, and it's just getting your full length, then take away your half length from it. I hope you understand. So my full length is 42 minus 18. So whatever value I get, I'm marking that down. Remember to add 1 inch for hemming allowance. So I'm cutting it out like this. So what I'm cutting now is not a full flare. It's just a flare, like just so that it's flared out. But it's not a full flare. Okay, and it's not a straight dress. It has a flare, but it's somewhere in between. So if you have limited fabric, you can just work with this. So when I open out the flare, this is what it looks like. It's not like the flare is not flaring, but when you move. Okay, so but when you have enough fabric, it's going to just work. I'm making this dress as an emergency dress. Okay, it needs to be worn the next morning, and I have limited fabric. So as a tailor, I know how to whip out something with the smallest of materials. Okay, something that will just go out nice. So now that I'm done, I'm going to hem the bottom of this. Then I'm going on the waist area. Okay, I'm going to notch the midpoint. Okay, look at the midpoint and give it a notch at that area. So this is the midpoint. I'll notch it out. Then afterwards, I'll go and hem the bottom and also fold the sides. Now, so after doing all of those things, you will now get the upper bodice, fold it into 2 to get the midpoint for the back. Okay, so from the back, just fold it into 2 to get the midpoint. Then also give it a notch at the midpoint of the back. So when you're done with that, you're going to place the upper bodice on the lower bodice or the lower skirt pattern. Okay, right side facing right sides, and make sure that your notches are matching. Then you're going to pin it down and sew all the way around it. Okay, from one edge to the other. Make sure that you hem your bottom and the sides of your flare. Okay, you can see hem the sides of your flare and hem the bottom as well. Now the next thing you need to do is to make your band. So the width of my band is 2 inches. So what I did was to cut my fabric. The width of the fabric is 5 inches, so that when I fold into 2, I'll have 2.5. Then when I sew with ½ inch, I'll be left with 2 inches for my band. Now the length of my band for one side is my waist measurement times 2. Then the other side is my waist measurement. Okay, that is it. So I have 2 bands, one long and one short. The long one is my waist measurement times 2. The other one is just my waist measurement. Okay, I've also attached my sleeve, a little puff sleeve. Okay, a little puff sleeve, a cold shoulder puff sleeve for this dress. Okay, so now the next is to impute the band, okay, or the rope, whatever you choose to call it. So the longer side, I'm going to, for the shorter side, I'm going to place the shorter side towards the side that has the opening. So you can see the opening inside. So I'm going to get the shorter band or rope, the shorter one, and I'm just going to fix it like this. Okay, so just like this, I'll fix it, use my pin to hold it, then I'll go and top stitch on it. And that is it. So the longer side, this is what it looks like when you top stitch. Okay, now the other side, or the longer side, I'm going to place it towards the other side. Remember, the shorter rope or band goes towards the side that has the opening by the side, then this one goes to this place. Okay, so fix it in, hold it with your pin, then go and make a top stitch. And when you're done, guys, you have a beautiful wrap around flare dress that is not so flying. But like, you can make yours a 360-degree flare, a 120-degree flare. Just use the measurement, whatever you got from measuring round the half length, use that as a waist measurement. Okay, so this is how you tie it. Okay, put the rope into the opening and you tie it all around. So I'll fit this dress for you to see. Okay guys, so this is the outcome of our dress. I hope you love it. So I'll come your way next time. Until I come your way next time, I remain your friend here on YouTube, Nani. So see you. Love you. Bye. Kisses. Mwah, mwah, mwah.